Yo, we back at it. It's your boy Sid from The Scales Will Prevail. You know we in New York. It's a little nippy outside. It's a little nippy out. Oh my goodness, it's a little nippy outside. Nah, I'm fucking with you, but we back at it with another video. It's your boy Sid from The Scales Will Prevail. I wanted to do a video on this topic. I wanted to basically touch on this, for a little while because there's a lot of speculation, basically, on which house in astrology represents the father and which house represents the mother, basically. What I want to say first off is that, some astrologers, they'll say that, okay, the fourth house is the mother. Then some will say that it's actually the 10th house, which is the mother. Then some will say it's the parent of lesser influence. And then some will say, back to that 10th house that, okay, this is the father. And some might say, well, nah, this is the mother, the 10th house. So my thing is, in astrology, it shouldn't be all of this uncertainty or this, it should be something I set in stone, like what's what, who's who. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a link in the description. You can check below this YouTube video to where I actually learned this from. It actually comes from a Vedic astrologer, the woman, and I found it to be very accurate in my readings, at least with interpreting the house that represents the father. Also, another thing I want to say is that a lot of times we learn best from experience, and I guess you could say seeing is believing. So I got permission from a couple of people who I've done their chart readings, and excuse the noise in the background, but basically I got permission to use their chart. So I'm gonna put this in the video so you can see when I get to the fourth house and the house that represents the father, which I'm actually about to say, you'll actually be able to see that it resonated with that person. The fourth house, from my conclusion, I've come to see that the fourth house basically is the mother. When we think about the fourth house, it traditionally would correspond with Cancer, and Cancer is the mother of the zodiac. So if that's the case, basically, which I've definitely seen, you would think opposite of that, in that 10th house would be the father. However, I've come to the conclusion that it's actually not the father either. I've come to the conclusion that the 9th house is actually the father. And you might be like, well, what? That don't even make sense. Why would that make sense? You know what I mean? But again, check the link in the description. I give her the credit where I learned it from, this Vedic astrologer. Check out her videos. But she basically was explaining how, from the first house in astrology represents you. It's the self, your physical appearance, right? Now, 5 houses away from that would represent children. It represents, in particular, your first child. But we can just say children. So now if we go back to your first house, 5 spaces before you, or 5 houses before you, this would represent your father, and that would be basically the 9th house. You know what I mean? So from his perspective, the 9th house, when we trace that back to the first house, that's you. So you're the child, basically, from the father. This is very important to know, because when we get into derivative houses, or derivative interpretations, which if you don't know what that means, I'm gonna make another separate video on that. It's basically where you say, if we want to know about somebody's 12 houses and we don't have their chart, you could basically look into your chart, turn the wheel, and basically read their 12 houses from your chart, and it's going to be accurate as well. So this could be like for a sibling, a father, grandparent, uncle, aunt. You could basically see their 12 areas of life through your chart. But yeah, back to what I was saying though. Basically, the 9th house is the father, and the 4th house is what I would say the mother. Some may want to debate with me. That's cool, but I'm just going to show you once I try to attach these, these clips from these readings I've done, so you can see how I resonated with the people. You know what I mean? Because seeing is believing, and that's all I want to say. Y'all have a good one. Take it easy. Shout out to y'all. So that's just something to think about. Let's go to the 9th house. We almost done. The 9th house is your fathers, your beliefs. It represents overseas, long distance journeys. It represents in-laws, if you were to ever get married. And post high school education. So after high school, like university and above. So we'll start with your father. When you have Leo here, normally I would think that he was someone who was well known or prominent. Again, Leo is the entertainer of the zodiac, so it show, him having this star type of quality. It would make him like come off as very like charismatic, someone who is a leader, someone who's courageous, the life of the party, things of that nature. I don't know if I said courageous, but yeah, that would be.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so that would be his type of energy. Ninth house is connected to the 10th house, so this is another indication that he was about his career. It's shown again, basically, with the sun being in this house too. Beliefs. Be mindful of pride in the things that you believe in. Leo deals with pride. It deals with the ego, so be mindful of that. But you do want to be seen. I told you earlier, for the things that you believe in, basically. You want to be recognized in this area. Wherever Leo's at, we want to shine and be seen.
That's so crazy that you mentioned my dad and then said something about my beliefs in pride, because my dad used to always tell me, take pride in what you do. Take pride in what you do. Be prideful.
And guess what? Remember I said a lot of these things we get from our family?
Mm-hmm.
And so the father represents that. And you just saying how he told you that it's the energy that he would have given off, and that's around beliefs, basically.
Right.
So it's all right there. I can't make this shit up. I don't know what the conversation. I wasn't there.
I know you can't, because you wouldn't know that. This shit I don't tell nobody. Who the fuck is about to sit back and listen to me give them my whole life story and shit? You got it. Like, this shit is like spot on.
Yeah. Let's see what else. This house also represents your father and in-laws as well too. So if you get married, this is going to represent, your in-laws. But we'll talk about your father first. Your father, with that Aries energy, very independent. They be doing their own thing, a bit selfish. On the positive side, though, Aries energy is a leader, pioneering a boss type of energy. Excuse me for that. When I'm looking at your Mars to see how it's aspected, it's about 50-50, so it can play out either way. In terms of your pops and stuff. But I would think he definitely did his own thing and stuff.
Yeah, that's possible.
What happened?
I said, yeah, that's possible.
That's what?
I said, that's my pops, man.
Oh, yeah. He could be headstrong as well, too. That's that warrior energy that he gives off with that Aries here. Mm-hmm. You said he was in the military, right?
Yeah, he was in the military for a while, yeah.
That's that Aries energy. Aries, which is like Mars energy, is the warrior. So then, of course, your sun sign tells you about your father as well, too. So definitely rolling stones. I told you with the Sag. Was your father pretty known?
Yeah. I mean, everywhere, everywhere I went, everybody knew him.
Yeah, that's right. Son in the house of Leo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well-known father. And this is why I say, too, you can exhibit these same traits. A lot of times, we get these qualities from our father, basically. So your son being in that house of Leo, you're here to shine, basically. Let's go to your IC. This is your 4th house, cuz. So 4th house is your mother. It's a representation. It's like the moon sign, so it's a representation of your feelings, your upbringing, ancestry, lineage. It's a representation of what we do at home as well, too. And our emotions. I don't know if I said emotions, but so you got Pisces here. In your dynamic with your mother, on one end, this is kind of similar to your Neptune in the first, but she comes off as compassionate, or like it's like a savior type of energy. But again, she could be the type that puts up illusions too. But she can also have a nurturing energy too. But it's just that same type of energy. Now, wherever Pisces that is in our chart is where we dream about, but we don't always see things clearly. It's like Neptune energy, because Neptune rules over Pisces. So it's basically saying that you feel a bit unclear on certain parts of your mother. You may either don't remember these things, maybe in your upbringing, or just like you don't know certain things about that, and family members as well too. That's what it would basically normally shows up as.
Yeah. I always ask her, like, when we used to get into it or whatever, or I felt like not to say when she used to get into it, but when I feel like she would treat me a certain way, like, because obviously our relationship, me and my mother's relationship, is different than Eric and Aaron's relationship.
Can I
And I
stop
think
you
it's
real quick?
because,
Can I say one thing before you go on? Do you feel like she was closer to Aaron than you?
oh yeah,
I can see that in the chart.
she is.
I can see that in the chart. But go ahead. I just want to say that. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just saying that, like, she is closer to because Aaron is someone that.
Let's move on. Let's move on to the fourth house. Fourth house and Gemini. Fourth house in Gemini is, besides the moon sign, it's your mother.
Okay.
So it's your mother, your emotions, your family, your upbringing, ancestry, lineage, and it also will tell us about latter part of life, basically. So we'll start with more about your mother. This makes her come off as youthful in her either her appearance or just like her energy.
Oh yes, she's a child at heart.
Yeah, Gemini is a very youthful energy. I would think expressive, even though she could be secretive.
Oh, she's secretive too.
Yeah.
My mom's
Gemini can sometimes be like expressive, communicative.
She's a lot.
What happened?
She's a lot. She's all over the place with it.
That's the twins, Jack of all, that Gemini energy.
Yes,
Twins.
and she's a Gemini moon and a Scorpio rising with a Libra sun. So she's all over the place.
Wow.